This is London, and this is Radio S.T.O.N.'s On the Air. The popular rock group The Rolling Stones left England today for their American tour. Lead singer Mick Jagger, in a press interview at Heathrow Airport.
Too much pain and too much sorrow. I said, go ahead. I said, hey, you get out of my crowd. Here it comes.
Believe it or not, that is the sound of an invasion. Yes, that is the sound created by the musical invasion of America by the world's hottest recording groups. And all of these groups seem to be coming from England. The most controversial of these invading British balladeers is a quintet called the Rolling Stones. And while they may not gather any moss, they certainly are raking in a lot of good green American money and gathering hundreds of thousands of teenage fans in the process. The Rolling Stones are different. Different not only from the American groups, but even very different from their own countrymen. They are not really very neat in appearance, and one of them has been known to appear on stage in grease-stained slacks, and another customarily sings in a sweatshirt. They are nonconformists to such a great degree that no two members of the Stones ever dress alike. And many educators consider their popularity resulted from their becoming symbols of teenage rebellion. This is the audio story of Mick Jagger, Bill Wyman, Charlie Watts, Keith Richard, and Brian Jones, or, as they are better known, the Rolling Stones. This is Ed Rudy reporting.
This is Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones saying stay tuned for Ed Rudy's coverage of the Rolling Stones.
Mick Jagger is the lead singer on most songs for the Rolling Stones and is sometimes called Old Stoneface because he rarely smiles. He has also, rather uniquely, been said to be similar in appearance to British film star Hayley Mills. He was born on July 26, 1944 in Dartford, Kent, England, and was christened Michael Philip Jagger. Mick is 5'10" tall and attended the London School of Economics and prepared to be an accountant. He never had any formal musical training and is self-taught on the harmonica and piano, which he plays when he is not acting as lead singer for the Rolling Stones.
Mick, you're the leader of the Stones? Not really, no, there isn't a leader.
Do you sing lead on most of the songs?
Yes.
And do you also write some of the material?
Yes, with Keith.
You and Keith write most of the material that you write yourself, though a great deal of it has been previously out some years ago in America by the down-home rhythm and blues groups.
Yeah, a lot of it has. We find these sort of American songs are better for ourselves than the songs that Keith and I write, because most of the songs that Keith and I write we give to other people because they're mostly ballads and things like that.
Well, do you think if I started singing and you gave me a song, you could turn me into a success?
So now we have to get your hair a bit longer than that, wouldn't we?
Thank you. Do you find that the American girls are any different than the British girls in their reaction to you?
No, not their reaction at all. No, they look different, because they wear different clothes and they're different attitude because they talk differently. The things they say are different,
Do you find they're more precocious?
Not more precocious, they're probably more outspoken.
I know that you're single. I know that 4 of the 5 Stones are single. Do you have any particular type of girl in mind as the type that you'd like to marry, Mick?
Well, I like ones that are intelligent and ones that can carry on a decent conversation. And they got to look pretty too.
I was waiting for that last comment. Do you find there's a great affinity between the Stones? Do you fellas get along well, or do you have frequent arguments? How does your life together go?
It goes along very well. We have arguments. Every group has arguments, about what records we're going to do and general things like that. But, on the whole, we get along fine.
When you date, Mick, do you generally date in conjunction with the other fellas? Do you double, triple, quadruple, or quintuple date? Or is it singly?
Well, sometimes we go out and double dates, not very often. Mostly just single dates.
Is one of the reasons that you do not double or triple date the fact that you're so easily spotted because of your rather unique style of dress and the long hair, etc.
Yeah, you find it's much easier if you go by yourself, you know. Though we get recognised badly enough then, you know. But I mean, if you go in twos or threes, it's terrible.
Yeah, well, uniquely, your faces are extremely well known in America now. As a matter of fact, I think at this point, appearance-wise, each of you individually is better known than the Beatles were when they first started really hitting in America.
Yeah, well, mate, I think the Beatles are much more of a group than we are, if you know what I mean. We're rather sort of five individuals happen to play together. And we look different, we've got different colour hair, you know, every one of us got different colour hair, we all got different features, you know.
Oh, yes. That was also true of the Beatles. It's just pretty much they've been grouped. They don't really look alike.
No, they've all got black hair, so you can pick Brian out on me, you know what I mean? Because we're not so sort of conventionally looking, you know what I mean? Because we got funny features, you know, like Bill's looks like Charles II, you can't help it.
No, Abraham Lincoln in America. In America, it's a rather young Abraham Lincoln.
That was Bill Wyman cutting it.
In France, it's a rather young Louis XIV.
Are you rather old any place?
Only Menge.
Yeah, he's an old married man at home. All right, now we'll go back to Mick. Do you have any particular kind of girl in mind, or are you going with anyone special? Are you engaged, or, you know?
No, I'm not engaged. I don't find much time to go out with girls, really, you know? It's very difficult, especially when we're on tour for weeks and then you're away from home, like we're away from home now, you know. It's very difficult. I go out with lots of different girls, you know. All pretty.
You don't sound too unhappy about that at all.
No, I'm not. I'm very pleased.
Do you find the appearance of American girls is any different than the British gals?
The clothes are different. I think the hair is longer.
Who's that, Rudy reporting? Hi, who's your favorite British group?
The Rolling Stones.
Why the Rolling Stones your favorite?
Well, they're different, the way they dress and the way they sing. Their music is different.
How is it different? You mean because they sing on the rhythm and blues kick?
Yes, rather than rock and roll, which most groups now sing.
And do you have a favorite Rolling Stone?
Oh, I like Mick Jagger the best.
Why do you like Mick?
I think he's the best looking, and I like the way he dresses and the way he sings.
Thank you. This is Ed Rudy reporting.
This is Charlie Watts of the Rolling Stones. Stay tuned to Ed Rudy's coverage of the Rolling Stones.
Charlie Watts is the drummer for the Stones, and he is very likely the most conventional of the group. He was born on June 2nd, 1941 in London and named Charles Robert Watts. He is generally very carefully attired and the best educated of the Rolling Stones. He attended Tyler Croft School and graduated from Harrow Art College. Charlie Watts is 5 feet 8 inches tall and goes in for continental-style clothes. He is undoubtedly the Beau Brummel of the Rolling Stones. Are the Rolling Stones rebels of any type?
No, you know, people say we are, but we're not really. You know. We're just sort of kids of today. I think any kid of any day is a rebel. It's got to be. I mean, you were.
They say that your fans are classed by sizes of stone. Like the real little fan is a pebble and he gets bigger until he's a boulder. Was this started by the group or started by the fan clubs?
Yeah, I should imagine the fan clubs. I never even thought of it. I think it's very novel, actually. Very nice.
Do you write any of the songs that you sing?
Do I write any?
Yes.
No, I don't write any. I just contribute my bit. Which is not writing, you know. We usually just sort of, it's a collective thing, you know. If we ever write sort of a Nanker Felge sort of thing, which is just they're our own songs. They're just sort of, Mick has a line, Keith does a rhythm, I do a rhythm, you know, it's just a thing, you know, it just happens.
You mean you get together and do the arrangements yourself?
Yeah, well, that's it, you know, so whatever I do, that's my bit to it, you know.
Right. Do any of the Stones have musical training?
I'm not sure of that, but I think Brian has, and Keith might have a bit.
Do you read music?
So I read not very well, I'm sorry to say.
Would you consider yourself a Beatle fan to any degree?
I met Ringo when he came back from here, very tired and pleased. You know. Yeah, you know, I think they're very talented fellas, you know. Lennon and McCartney, you know, yeah, I'm a Beatles fan, if you can call it that, you know.
Why do you like the Rolling Stones?
Well, they sing different. They started a new liking for rhythm and blues. I mean, rhythm and blues. It was always rhythm and blues, but it was never so popular before them. And they dress differently. They each wear different clothes when they're on stage, and I just like them.
Yeah, but there's been rhythm and blues around for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, it originated in America. Why do you like the British group that does the exact same thing?
Well, I just like it better. They do it better. It was never so popular before until the British groups started doing it.
Oh, so you mean they beat us at our own game? They beat the Americans at American music?
Right.
Thank you. This is Ed Rudy reporting.
This is Brian Jones, the Rolling Stones, asking you to stay tuned for Ed Rudy's coverage of the Rolling Stones.
Brian Jones is sometimes called Rolling Jones by his fans, and he plays rhythm guitar and harmonica with the group, though he has had no musical training. He was born on February 22nd, 1944 in Cheltenham, England, and his father is a former school principal, or as they say, headmaster. He is quite extroverted and extremely exuberant when anything happens that makes him happy or that he considers funny. He is very friendly and most likely the most outspoken of the Rolling Stones.
What specific difference would you say there is between the Rolling Stones and the other British groups as of this point?
Well, the essential difference between ourselves and the British groups that are well known in the United States at the moment, in fact, is really, I think we're the first to really have a strong sort of Negro rhythm and blues influence. We haven't sort of adapted our music from a watered-down form of rhythm and blues or rock and roll, such as the white American rock and roll. We've adapted our music from the early blues forms, you know, and actually most of the groups in England now are copying us, whereas they used to copy the Beatles.
Yeah, I can't help but agree with you. A great many rhythm and blues sounds coming out of England at this point. Do you write any of the material that you sing?
Well, yes, we write a lot of it, actually. The ones that appear under the pseudonym Nanka Felge are written by all of us together, and Mick and Keith write a lot, and others of us do write, but we haven't had anything recorded by this group.
I see.
Lots of material, you know.
Right. Could you account for the phenomenal success that you've had here in America and around the world in any way? Why specifically have the Rolling Stones become such a fantastic success?
Well, we just provided the right thing at the right time. We come along with a very raw sort of music where everything was rather sweet, you know, and sort of things were getting sort of sloppy and sentimental. In England they were anyway, and I believe so in America too, you know, with this sort of Cliff Richard sort of thing. And it was very soft, sweet music, and a new sort of tough element seemed to be growing up. I don't mean sort of tough kids, but a new sort of vital sort of urge seemed to be growing up amongst the young people, and we provided a music that had the same sort of vitality, and we came along at the right time with the right thing. So it's just sort of, you know, happened. It hasn't happened all that quickly. We've been around in England for about 18 months now, you know, and some groups make big records with their first ones, you know, we haven't. You know, it's like in America, it's taking time to build, you know.
Yes, I'm aware of that. And as a matter of fact, there seems to be a great deal of resistance to the group at the start. How would you account for that?
Well, I suppose there's always resistance to something new, isn't there?
Right.
Always. There's always reaction to every sort of action. There's a reaction, isn't there? So
yes.
It's one of Newton's laws of motion or something like that. But it's true. Pop music as well.
Right. I've read many magazine articles on the Rolling Stones that very, very uniquely for a British group were practically libelous. I've never seen any British group described in the way that the Rolling Stones have. Now, I've met the fellas. They're clean-cut looking boys. You've got very long hair, but you certainly don't look dirty. And this is an allegation that I have read so many times in the magazines, and I just can't understand it. Would you make an attempt to explain this to me and explain it to our listeners?
It's very difficult to explain. All I can do really is sort of deny it and say that I'm speaking for myself. I resent it very much, being called dirty. And if anyone called me dirty to my face, I wouldn't take it lying down, you know. But, you know, sort of when you read it in magazines, there's very little you can do. We're really at the sort of mercy of magazine writers. What they write, people believe, you know. And they've written so much dirty rubbish about us, you know. I do feel very resentful of it, but I just hope that this time around we can show people that we're not dirty, we're not really scruffy, and we're not thick, you know.
Right. As a matter of fact, appearance-wise and your mode of dress is not really very unlike the Beatles style.
Just say it's English, you know. We're English.
The length of your hair is longer, is it not?
Well, a lot of people have long hair this way in England. Not everybody, not all the young people do, but it's pretty well accepted, you know. If people want to grow their hair long, you know, they're not laughed at anymore in England, you know.
They say the way to tell the difference between a boy and a girl in England, since they both have long hair and tight pants, if the pants are tighter and the hair is longer, it's a boy.
Well, there you go.
I'm Ed Rudy. Who's your favorite British group?
The Rolling Stones.
Why?
Because they're so different. They're unlike like everybody else. They're great.
Why do you like Stones?
Well, they're very different. That's good. Different. It's different than all the other groups.
Because they're different. They're new.
Where are you from?
The village.
This is Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones saying stay tuned for Ed Rudy's coverage of the Rolling Stones in America.
Bill Wyman is best known as the married Rolling Stone, and his gaunt appearance and very long hair makes him stand out. Bill plays the bass guitar with the group and the piano for his own enjoyment. He is 5 feet 8 inches tall and was born on October 29th, 1941 in Lewisham, just south of the Thames River near London. He is the father of a baby boy. Bill Wyman enjoys reading poetry, and his hobby is studying the stars. But he hasn't had much time for it since he became a star himself.
One of you is married. Who is that?
Me.
I know it. That's why I asked. Do you find that your fans are any different than the rest of the fellas? Do you attract a unique type because you're the married Stone?
No, I think it's just the same, you know. It doesn't seem to make difference to them too much. Not in England, anyway. I don't know about America. But in England, the fans are fans, whether you're married, single, divorced, or, you know, just horrible.
Do you find a great deal of difference between the American gals and the British gals as fans? We're not going to ask you anything else because you're a married man. I'm sure you wouldn't know. But as fans...
No, they seem just as interested in you, you know. And they scream just as loud and they like your records just as much. I think they're about the same.
Are the Pebble people here wilder than they are in England?
No, about the same.
You mean you get this fantastic response practically any place in the world that you go?
Yeah, all except for Switzerland. They're a bit old-fashioned there.
Yeah, well, gee, that country has been there so long, I imagine there's a shortage of teenagers.
A shortage of something. I don't know what it is, but it's short of it, you know.
What's your reaction to some of these horrible magazine articles?
Well, as far as what they say about us, it doesn't bother me because I think the true fans know what we're like and the people who like us. And as far as they're concerned, writing them, I think it only shows up their lack of, you know, writing well. That's all. If they've got nothing better to write about, I think, you know, they should give up.
Right. Bill, how did this come about, this thing with writing miserable articles about the Stones? Did this originate in Europe? Did it start here? How did it come about?
It started when we started in England, you know. But by now in England, everybody knows what we really are like, so they don't write things that are untrue, you know. But of course, whenever you go to a new country, as we are fairly new in America, you get the same thing starting again, you know. And after a certain period, it will wear off. Thank you.
Is the Rolling Stone your favorite group?
Of course.
Why? Why do you like the Rolling Stones better than any other group?
They're beautiful.
Because of their appearance or because of the way they sing?
Both.
Well, mainly what, though?
Their appearance.
And are you a Rolling Stone fan also?
Naturally.
And why do you like the Stones?
They're gorgeous. They're weak. Hi. I love them.
Why do you love them?
Because their music is good and it's not a good performance.
Is it their appearance or their music mainly?
The music.
The music only?
No, it's mostly the music.
Do you think that you're a fan of theirs because they're symbols of rebellion?
No. Not precisely.
You know, I was speaking to the Rolling Stones, and they told me that they felt, not that they were symbols of rebellion, but they were symbols of young people all over, and young people always rebel. Do you think that's true?
Yes.
What do you think of the Rolling Stones?
I think they're very good. I like their music, but I don't like their appearance very much.
Do you think that's too long?
Yes, Brian, I think, is the nicest of them because it's the way he dresses in a suit.
No, yeah, he's kind of pretty anyway, isn't he?
He is very.
This is Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones. You've got to stay tuned for Ed Rudy's coverage on the Rolling Stones while they're in America, okay?
Keith Richards is the lead guitarist for the Stones and started playing when he was a very young child. He is 5 feet 10 inches tall and was born on December 18th, 1943 in Dartford, England. His family name is Richards, but Keith dropped the S because he thought the name Keith Richard sounded better. He was a good student and attended Sidcup Art School, where he won many prizes. He is quite quiet off stage, but a standout performer on stage with the Rolling Stones.
Would you join a Stamp Out the Beatle club?
No, I wouldn't.
Are you a Beatle fan?
I'm not a fan. I appreciate some of their stuff, you know. I like them, you know. I think they're good.
What would you say is the difference between the Beatles sound and the Rolling Stones sound?
We've got a more coloured sound, a more rock and roll sound than that.
A rhythm and blues thing, an R&B sound. They call in America down-home blues.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. You got it.
Have any American groups in particular influenced the Rolling Stones style?
Yeah, lots. A lot of people. Chuck Berry, Jimmy Reed, and a lot of sort of miracle stuff, you know, and Marvin Gaye, people like that, you know.
Yep. Strangely enough, while the Beatles sound and the Rolling Stones sound is nowhere near the same, they claim to have been influenced by the very same groups. How would you account for that?
I don't know, we've got different ideas on what happens, you know, we interpret it differently. I think it's a good thing, you know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know.
The Beatles are in between rockers and mods. How would you determine what the Rolling Stones are?
I don't bother with that part, honestly, you know. We don't class ourselves as anything.
Do you have any specific reaction to the type of publicity that you've received in America?
Only the bad stuff, you know. I don't really care what they write about us as long as they write about us, you know. But we do Bath, well, that's what I've got to say, you know.
Why do you think this publicity came about?
I think everybody associates long hair with dirtiness. I don't know why, you know. It's something to do with the Victorian thing or something, you know.
Yeah, either that or just not taking a haircut often enough. But that is not the case. Actually, the length of your hair is almost standard in Great Britain at this point, is it not?
I should say so, yeah. It's a lot shorter than some people's.
Yeah, but those girls, you know, don't count.
Now you're being cheeky.
No, of course, I was teasing. How would you account for the success of the Rolling Stones? Why have the Rolling Stones been so fantastically successful?
I think it's a cross between the music, the image, and the time that we came along. I think we came along just at the right time, you know. It was luck, among other things, you know.
This rhythm and blues sound that you have you ever had another sound? Would you say that this is a particularly British sound? Does it sound to you like the people who originated this sound?
We hope it does, you know. We're trying. Maybe it doesn't sound the same, you know, but that's because what we are. But I think at least we're trying, you know.
What's your favorite British group?
The Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones.
They're great.
What makes them so great?
Well, their music, and they look great, and they got good personalities.
What do you think of the sound?
I like them too.
Why?
Because they look nice, and they have good music, and they're sexy. Mick is just oozing with sex. I love him. And Brian.
Are they symbols of rebellion?
I don't think so. No, I think that, I don't know, the music is great. I don't know if they're...
If the Rolling Stones walked up right now, what would you do?
This is Erik, Easton, the manager of the Rolling Stones. Stay tuned for Ed Rudy's coverage on the Rolling Stones.
Erik, you're the manager of the Rolling Stones, the world's most popular recording group at this point, right?
Well, that is correct.
How would you account for their phenomenal success?
I think because they've got a very different image from most of the other groups. It's a wonderful image. It fits in with what the teenagers want today. I don't think the adults go for them in a big way, but the kids, they think they're absolutely the tops. In England, they're the next biggest to the Beatles. In fact, they're equal with the Beatles. And I think before we finish this tour of the States, I think they'll be just as big here. The Rolling Stones have to be seen and heard to be believed. They don't become popular as a result of the record plugs on radio or television. When the young people see them in the flesh, that's it. They're the most exciting group in the world, and if the Rolling Stones are going to appear anywhere near where any American teenagers are living, they should go and see the Rolling Stones because they are fantastic.
How did this bad public image originally start? I don't understand it.
It's not a bad public image. The teenagers think the Stones are wonderful. It's the older people who resent the Stones. The Stones, they dress as they want to dress. They wear their hair long because they want to wear their hair long. It's not an effect. It's not done as a gimmick or anything like that. The type of music they play, the teenagers go for in a very big way, but the older people don't understand. And this is it. They are a teenager's attraction as opposed to an all-round attraction. And you get this terrific controversy between the older people and the younger people. And as long as that controversy goes, this is wonderful for the Rolling Stones.
Well, from that, I gather that they're pretty much a symbol of rebellion in the youth of the world today. Is that it?
I think the older people think they're rebellious, but they're not really being rebellious. All they're doing is living their lives as they want to live them. They want to wear long hair. Older people say, what are they doing with long hair like that? But the Rolling Stones, they don't care if a man has short hair. They say he's entitled to wear short hair. They're entitled to wear long hair. If they want to play this type of music, the rhythm and blues, this is great. They want to play that type of music. If the kids like it, that's wonderful. If the older people don't like it, it's just too bad as far as they're concerned. But they don't do it to be intentional rebels, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, the kids are extremely personable and very, very easy to talk to. I've interviewed each one of them, and gee, they do not live up to the advanced publicity that I've read in teenage magazines at all. And these magazines are generally flattering to British groups.
Well, I think it's the image, really, isn't it, that people have to write how they see an attraction. If you're a showbiz writer and you're writing about the Rolling Stones, you've got to talk about them as you see them. And this is it. I don't think there's any real explanation for it, because they're living their lives the way they want to live it, or live their lives, and a lot of people appreciate it. The kids appreciate it very much. The older people are inclined to resent it.
Do you contemplate any lawsuits?
No, we like to live in peace and quiet, and that's all we ask. We don't really think that anyone has libeled the Stones in saying these things. It's just one of those things. We go along with it, anything they say.
That was one of the Stones in the background saying, don't believe a word of it.
But the great thing is, I think people have to go and see the Stones in person. They generate more excitement and a wonderful atmosphere. There's more excitement than any other group in the world can generate.
I hope you have enjoyed this behind-the-scenes visit with the Rolling Stones and that it gave you an insight into what makes them tick. One thing that you can be sure of is that the Rolling Stones will keep rolling along for some time to come.
This is Mick Jagger. This is Charlie Watts. This is Brian Jones. This is Bill Wyman. This is Keith Richards.
This is Erik Easton, the manager of the Rolling Stones.
And this is Ed Rudy reporting.
This is London. Radio Stones, signing off.